So the president commenting almost exactly an hour late from his scheduled time of 9:45 a.m. or 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time on the jobs numbers that came out from the Bureau of Labor Statistics this morning at 8:30 a.m. very promptly. We saw that 467,000 jobs were added in the month of January. That far exceeded the expectations of economists who were projecting that it would only be 170,000 jobs added. As well, the number of jobs added in the month of December was revised sharply upwards from the original Bureau of Labor Statistics estimate of 199,000 up to 510,000 jobs. So that's almost 1 million jobs created in December and January, a very robust number. Leisure and hospitality, professional and business services, retail, healthcare, all adding jobs in January. The unemployment rate stayed largely steady, going from 3.9% to 4%. And the labor participation rate jumped to 62.2%. That is a measurement of the percentage of adult Americans who are eligible to work and who are either actively working or actively looking for work. 62.2%, a bit shy of President Trump's peak number of 63%. Both of those figures well shy of the peak for this century back in 2000 of 67%. From the president, we heard that this morning's report caps off his first year, and that nobody has ever seen a job growth and a plunge in the unemployment rate in 1 year's time like this before because, as he put it, it's never happened. And he also added this didn't happen by chance. He credited his administration's enactment of the American Rescue Plan, $1.9 trillion in federal spending, also the bipartisan infrastructure package. It's interesting, John, whenever the economic news is good, we hear from the White House, from the president, from the press secretary, from cabinet officers, that this is attributable to the president's policies. When the economic news is not good or worse, we hear about external factors like the pandemic, the supply chain, China, even the weather. So all of those trends, which are political and nonpartisan, continue as well. John.
Yes, the spin games with the jobs numbers, a tale as old as time, classic Washington. But good stuff, James. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. Now let's check in now with Congressman Billy Long. He represents Missouri's 7th District, and he sits on the House Energy and Commerce Committee. Congressman, great to have you with us.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you having me on the show today.
I would like to get your reaction to the jobs report. Better than expected. You know, we looked at the ADP jobs report earlier this week. It talked about maybe even jobs lost, but we had a lot of jobs gained.
Yeah, I just came off the House floor. We were voting a while ago, and I was sitting with a group of congressmen, and we were having this discussion where I think 78 economists came together and predicted that there'd be 170 or 178,000 new jobs. And the figure comes in this morning at, I think, 467,000. And so we want to drill down. We're like, how, it's like Don Knotts or Don Adams and Get Smart, Maxwell Smart, missed it by that much. How does that happen? Are we getting real, true numbers out of these, figures lie and liars figure? And what the president's speech there this morning was actually hard to watch for me, talking about all these things that are going on and gas prices being up. But when you stop Keystone XL pipeline on your first day and then you're surprised gas goes up, really the only good thing this president has done, he's kind of made it a status symbol to buy gas anymore. I mean, who can afford a $100 bill to fill up your car? So we need to get real on getting cost under control. But everything he's done, I've got news for him. Build Back Better, he could have done leave well enough alone, because Trump had everything in it going in a great direction. We were energy independent, gas prices were down, and now he wants to talk about all the inflation. Hey, you're the guy that caused it.
Even liberal economists, including one of President Obama's chief economic advisors, Larry Summers, has talked about that the influx of money is what's driving inflation here. And you heard President Biden, despite the fact that we got a pretty good jobs report, still wants to push the human infrastructure aspect of his Build Back Better agenda. But how is that possible? I mean, we just saw the national debt topping $30 trillion. Republicans can't be left completely out of this conversation. They bear some responsibility here as well. But $30 trillion, Congressman, when is this going to stop?
I was an auctioneer before I came to Congress, 31 years. And I went to the House floor my freshman year and auctioned off the national debt. You can go check that out. But it was $14 trillion when I got here 11 years ago. A few years before that, it was, much smaller. whenever Obama came in. And yeah, you're exactly right. Republicans have a lot of culpability when they vote for these omnibuses and these continuing resolutions. No one wants to legislate anymore in this country. They want to just keep going on and on with what we've had before, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. We're digging a crawl space below the basement of our all-time low with fiscal responsibility in this country, and we're doing it here in Washington.
As an auctioneer, I doubt it takes 11 years to get from $11 trillion all the way up to $30 trillion where we are, but it seems like it's going up pretty fast, even if it's not an auctioneer speed. I also wanted to ask you about President Biden's approval numbers falling this week to its lowest level, according to this Reuters Ipsos poll, 41%. And it's also, there's indication here that President Biden is losing a lot of support among his base. This has got to make you guys happy over there on the Republican side. How many seats do you guys think you'll pick up in the midterms?
It depends a lot on the redistricting. If you notice, a lot of these Democrat states are fighting tooth and nail, eliminating all the Republican seats, like in New York. And a lot of the Republican states are just saying, leave well enough alone. We're okay. We don't need to move to pick up more seats. So I talked to Kevin McCarthy. I had a meeting with him yesterday afternoon during one of our vote series then. And I think you're talking about 25, 30 seats, but it's going to be a tsunami. People have finally woken up to what has gone on. But like I said, it was really hard to watch the president this morning ticking off all the things that are wrong. And like I said, if he would have just left well enough alone, kept the Keystone Pipeline going, keep building the wall, 2 million people since the first of the year have come over the southern, what used to be a border. I don't call it a border anymore.
Yeah, I want to talk about the border in a second.
Free zone.
I'll talk about the border in a second, but I guess if we're talking about congressional seats, maybe that's what we were trying to figure out, what we could have you auction off in this segment today. Maybe that's it, 5, 15, 20, 25. Maybe you could do that for the congressional seats for us.
Yeah, I could get up to 25 or 30. I hope maybe get to 45, but it's going to be a big year for Republican pickups.
All right, let's talk about the border a little bit more. Vice President and Border Czar Kamala Harris spoke to Telemundo about the administration's immigration policies, and she's actually blaming Congress for all these crises we're seeing down there on the border. Take a look.
The first piece of legislation that sent to Congress was immigration reform. It was our first initiative to say we must have a pathway for citizenship. The problem is Congress is not acting. The problem is that we have members of Congress, in particular,
But Congress and the Senate are Democrats. The majority are Democrats, right?
Yeah, there she is trying to blame Congress, even though, as that reporter wisely points out, it's in the hands of Democrats. And she also seems to think that the immigration crisis is here because Congress hasn't passed an amnesty package.
Yeah, and I went down to the border in April with President Trump just this past April of 21. And we stood at the border wall where Biden had quit building it and Trump had built it. And all you have to do, you don't even need to go to the border, John. All you have to do is go to the McAllen airport and sit and watch hundreds and hundreds of illegals being loaded onto airplanes. They have a note around their neck that says, we don't speak English. At that time, they didn't have any ID. I guess now you could get on it. If you've got a warrant for your arrest, you can board with that. But they fly these folks all over the country. Don't tell the city fathers where they're going, that they're going to be coming in. And it's just ridiculous to just completely open up the borders, welcome people into the country. And it's gone totally unchecked. And our poor Border Patrol agents, you've seen some of the footage lately of what they have to go through down there. And it's, you know, we need to stop the insanity of letting people come in just willy-nilly and stop the wokeness, all this wokeness that's getting policemen killed all over the country. So we need to take our country back. And for Joe Biden to say that all these things are wrong.
The border's coming to every community in America. It's, you know, when you see these illegal immigrants being flown all over the country, and, you know, we used to criticize Kamala Harris for not going down to the border, but she can go to any state right now and get a look on the issues facing not just border states, but every state in this country, including Missouri. Congressman Billy Long from Missouri, great to see you, sir. Thanks so much.
Thank you, John. Thanks for the time.